Kimmerha Holadunya, Feuchamaich, Olde Scot the Celtic podcast. On today's show, we'll introduce you to some beautiful Gaidhlig proverbs, and we'll break them down for you. And we'll do that in Feuchamaich, Beagan, Gaidhlig. We will talk about the 700-year anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Arbroath in our Celtic History segment. And you'll hear an interview of me by Scottish singer-songwriter Jamie McGeechan, and he's doing that for the American Scottish Foundation. And he'll do that in everyday Celtic ways, of course. Now, throughout the program, we're going to hear music from Kathleen McInnes, Karen Matheson, Julie Fowlis, and then, of course, two songs from Jamie McGeechan. And as always, a wee bit of Irish trivia to test your knowledge to start us off. And that is, who is the female character in The Brown Bull of Cooley, a famous Irish saga? All right, Feuchamaich, let's kick this thing off. Enjoy.
King of Vladak, O King of Vladak, O King of Vladak, O Gaidhlig Codú. O King of Vladak, ag toisich na trad, ha arawar ma láid ag talar a dream. O King of Chwailing, O King of Chwailing, O King of Chwailing, ma huaich yn colau. Ha arawar ma shestrach ag trwt a chlan heikins gan nashin ka jico an chidig na huich. O King of Vladak, O King of Vladak, O King of Vladak, O Gaidhlig Codú. O King of Vladak, ag toisich na trad, ha arawar ma láid ag talar a dream. Dacha mi smunge chomas a dúi Itar gar a gadún is ma húla te flóri Is ma héjar nga dachris gan gianna gi chascan sé sitru a chleachsing vi maslich ag flóri. O King of Vladak, O King of Vladak, O King of Vladak, O Gaidhlig Codú. O King of Vladak, ag toisich na trad, ha arawar ma láid ag talar a dream. O King of Chwailing, O King of Chwailing, O King of Chwailing, ma huaich yn colau. Ha arawar ma shestrach ag trwt a chlan heikins gan nashin ka jico an chidig na huich. O King of Vladak, O King of Vladak, O King of Vladak, O Gaidhlig Codú. O King of Vladak, ag toisich na trad, ha arawar ma láid ag talar a dream. O King of Vladak, O King of Vladak, O King of Vladak, O Gaidhlig Codú. O King of Vladak, ag toisich na trad, ha arawar ma láid ag talar a dream. O King of Vladak, O King of Vladak, O King of Vladak, O Gaidhlig Codú. O King of Vladak, ag toisich na trad, ha arawar ma láid ag talar a dream.
That was King of Vladak by Kathleen McInnes. And now, on time in Feuchamaich, Beagan, Gaidhlig, time to try a little Gaidhlig. Now, I do not represent myself as an authority on the Gaidhlig language, only someone who loves learning it and wants to help others. What I teach comes right from the textbooks of well-respected Gaidhlig teachers, I hope you will find it interesting, informative, and fun. Today we're going to discuss some Gaelic proverbs, and as always I will display on the screen what I am discussing. Now, Scottish Gaelic proverbs show the beauty of the language, and we're going to break down each proverb and explain its meaning. Now we're going to do this over the next, we're going to do 3 a week for the next 4 weeks, so you can understand these wonderful phrases and work them into your Gaelic conversations or writings. Now the first one is Aber la Tushikig. Translation: beginning is a day's work. Especially on a Monday when we all know that feeling of taking the entire morning to get moving. Many Gaelic proverbs make you think hard before the sense of it's revealed, but in that sort of Zen way. Sometimes stating the obvious, like this one, is just as effective. So the first word there, you see Aber, work. Then you got la, is day, Tushikig, beginning, and of course is at the very beginning, plus the adjective is common in set phrases and expressions. So, such as, is finnel me, I'm selfish, or is tolum, I like, or is metal copper, copper is a metal. You see what I'm talking about. Alright, so move on to the second one here. Nachgorum nachrik ahafada hum. Translation: how green the hills which are far from us. The English equivalent of this, of course, is the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. So proverbs can be very idiomatic as well. And if you don't know what that means, which I've heard the word, but I didn't really understand what it meant. An idiom is a group of words established by usage as having a meaning not deductible from those of the individual words. So, in this proverb, Gordam, which is normally blue, can also be used for the green of grass, and of course the blue of sky. Nakruk, the hills, and Fada is long or far, and Vum is from us, prepositional pronoun. So, and then when you put all that together, you get a great proverb. All right. Number 3. Kunik Nadonia Asahanak U. Translation: remember the people from who you came. All right. People travel from all over the world to experience our native culture there in Scotland. I take pride in remembering the millions of Scots who came before us and who are responsible for its very existence. Okay. Hunik is remember. And of course, is on. Nadunya is people. The na makes the dunya plural. As is from. Tanich is came. It's the past tense, the irregular verb of hic. And of course, u. And then when you slap all that together, you get Kunik Nadunya Asahanak U. I like that one. Remember the people from who you came. All right. That went pretty quick today. Just want to last quick note here for Feuchamaich Beagan Gaelic. Before you go, anybody in the St. Louis area interested in a weekly Gaelic, Scottish Gaelic class, first of all, check out the St. Louis Gaelic Facebook page, or contact me and I'll get you all the info. All right, that's it for Feuchamaich Beagan Gaelic. Enjoy.
Down to the U, down to the children, down to the U, down to the chicken or down to the U, down to the children, down to the chicken or down to the chicken or down to the chicken or down to the children, down to the chicken or down to the chicken or down to the chicken or down to the children, down to the U, down to the chicken or down to the U, down to the children, down to the U, down to the chicken or down to the U, down to the children, down to the chicken or down to the chicken or down to the chicken or down to the children, down to the chicken or down to the chicken or down to the chicken or down to the children. chorville. Idiwa, down so the chicken or down sidiwa, down so the chorville, down sidiwa, down so the chicken or down sidiwa, down so the chorville, down so the chicken or down so the chicken or down so the chicken or down so the chorville, down so the chicken or down so the chicken or down so the chicken or down so the chorville. Chicken or down so a chicken or down so a chicken or down so a chorville, down so a chicken or down so a chicken or down so a chicken or down so a chorville. Idiwa, down so a chicken or down sidiwa, down so a chorville, down sidiwa, down so a chicken or down sidiwa, down so a chorville, down so a chicken or down so a chicken or down so a chicken or down so a chorville, down so a chicken or down so a chicken or down so a chicken or down so a chorville. Down so a chicken or down so a chicken or down so a chicken or down so a chorville, down so a chicken or down so a chicken or down so a chicken or down so a chorville, down so a chicken or down so a chicken or down so a chicken or down so a chorville, down so a chicken or down so a chicken or down so a chicken or down so a chorville.
That was Dance a Litigant Otter. And that is by Kathleen McInnes. No, I'm sorry, Julie Fowlis. Both of them are wonderful Gaelic women. I'm sure they'll understand. They have beautiful voices. It's easy to get them mixed up. And now we're going to delve into the rich history that is our Celtic past and the Celtic history break. Now, 2020 marks the 700th anniversary of the Declaration of Arbroath, widely seen as Scotland's most iconic document, written 700 years ago. This fragile document and its evocative sentiments of medieval sovereign independence have given it special distinction not just in Scotland but around the world. To mark the anniversary, National Records of Scotland, in partnership with the National Museums of Scotland, are putting the document on display in the National Museum of Scotland, 27th of March through 26th of April 2020. With the coronavirus and everything going on, you might want to check with that. I wrote this about a month ago. National Records of Scotland are hosting a series of free talks. You'll have to check and see if those are still on, of course. Well, but they'll examine aspects of the Declaration of Arbroath and do that in detail. The Declaration of Arbroath is foremost among Scotland's state papers and the most famous historical record held by the National Records of Scotland. The Declaration is a letter written in 1320 by the barons and whole community of the Kingdom of Scotland to the Pope, asking him to recognize Scotland's independence and acknowledge Robert the Bruce as the country's lawful king. Now, the Declaration was written during the Long War of Independence with England, which started with Edward I's attempt to conquer Scotland in 1296. When the deaths of Alexander III and his granddaughter Margaret, Maid of Norway, left Scotland without a monarch, Edward used the invitation to help choose a successor as an excuse to revive English claims of overlordship. When the Scots resisted, of course, he invaded. Now, Edward refused to allow William Wallace's victory at Stirling in 1296 to derail his campaign, and followed up with a decisive victory at Falkirk. Then, in 1306, Robert the Bruce seized the throne and began a long struggle to secure his position against internal and external threats. His success at Bannockburn in 1314, when he defeated an English army under Edward II, was a major achievement, but the English still did not recognize Scotland's independence or Bruce's position as king. By 1320, Scottish relations with the papacy were in crisis, after the Scots defied papal efforts to establish a truce with England, when the Pope excommunicated Robert I and 3 of his barons. The Scots sent the Declaration of Arbroath as part of a diplomatic counteroffensive, if you will, to the Pope. Now, the Pope wrote to Edward II, urging him to make peace, but it was not until 1328 that Scotland's independence was actually acknowledged. The declaration was probably drawn up by Bernard, Abbot of Arbroath. It was authenticated by seals, as documents at the time were not signed. The declaration was written in Latin and was sealed by 8 earls and about 40 barons. Now, only about 19 of these seals remain, of what have originally were probably 50 of them, and many of them are in very poor condition. I'll post a picture so you can see the seals dangling at the bottom. Now, the document in the National Records of Scotland is the file copy of the Declaration, the only version to survive in its original form. Now, it was kept with the rest of the National Records in Edinburgh Castle until the 17th century, when work was being done on the castle. While there, it suffered damage, and it was returned to their custody in 1829 to the conservation staff at the National Records of Scotland monitor. They monitored the declaration to ensure it survives for many centuries to come. Now, the Declaration of Independence of America, the charter that laid out the early principles of democracy here in the United States, was not based on a model from the ancient Greeks or the Magna Carta, as is widely thought. It is believed that the Declaration of Independence was based on that 14th century Declaration of Arbroath. The similarities between the cries of freedom in both documents are deliberate. They are a deliberate move by America's founding fathers. Half of those were of Scottish ancestry who signed the Declaration of Independence. You know, the Declaration of Arbroath, I'll quote you a little bit from that, and it's a very famous quote. As long as but 100 of us remain alive, never will we on any conditions be brought under English rule. It is in truth not for glory, nor riches, nor honors that we are fighting, but for freedom, for that alone which no honest man gives up but with life itself. Now compare that to a quote here from the Declaration of Independence, which was signed about 440 years later. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, academics have previously linked America's founding fathers to the Scottish Enlightenment that was ongoing during the drafting of the U.S. Charter. Now, it would be expected for the leaders of the movement of the freedom in America to look to the great men and leaders of the time for inspiration. The U.S. academic Gertrude Himmelfarb, that's a name, had written that Thomas Jefferson and other key figures studied the Enlightenment's leaders, such as Francis Hutcheson and David Hume, who were making a worldwide impact at the time when, as Voltaire, the French defender of civil liberties, said, "We look to Scotland for all our ideas of civilization." All right, and that's it for the Celtic History Break.
mochriha uskimesk numlan Jonen is chini lualen Ovan Pamulane Ovan Catalan midden Ovan Pamulane Skun had on Oshweg figurig numblar Allen na jodoronium naruf Ovan Pamulane Ovan Catalan metal Ovan Pamulane Toen ze tonen orjen sigaretten Lan bit og roska grønn over Ovan Pamulane Ovan Catalan metal Ovan Pamulane Etel mochriha uskimesk numlan Jonen is chini lualen Ovan Pamulane Ovan Catalan metal Ovan Pamulane Ovan Pamulane Ovan Catalan metal Ovan Pamulane
Alright, that was Talach Rondonis by Karen Matheson. I don't know why I'm getting these ladies' names mixed up today. But, alright, now it's time for Everyday Celtic Ways. Looking at how our Celtic heritage is still very much a part of our everyday lives. Now today we're going to hear an interview done to me by Jamie McGeechan, a well-known Scottish singer-songwriter. Jamie is writing for the American Scottish Foundation of New York. Jamie chose to interview me for an article that will appear either in their magazine or on social media. Olde Scot, the Celtic Culture channel, put on what we like to call the Scottish invasion of St. Paddy's Day. Just a wee little Celtic music concert, which you can actually see parts of in newly posted videos on my channel and my YouTube channel, Olde Scot. So now, without further ado, we're just going to play the interview. Enjoy.
Good afternoon, it's Jamie here. I am with Jeffrey McDonald this afternoon in St. Louis. Jeffrey's kindly invited me over to a celebration at the St. Anne Church, which is going to be celebrating the Scots as well as St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, we're doing a Scottish invasion of St. Paddy's Day. Who says the Irish can have all the fun, right?
I love that. That's absolutely fantastic. It's great to meet with you this afternoon. Can you tell me a wee bit about your passion for Scotland, Scottish culture, and a wee bit about the Gaidhlig podcast that you do as well, which is fantastic?
Sure thing. Growing up here in St. Louis, it's such an Irish town that they automatically assumed I had McDonald was my last name, that I was Irish. And of course, my mom always was like, "No, you're Scottish," you know. So as I grew up, I always looked into Scottish culture and Scottish history and enjoyed it, of course. But then, as I was an adult, I got into doing Scottish Highland games. and I was, a big and strong guy, so I traveled all over the United States, competing in the Highland Games. Did okay, but then I injured my wrists and wanted to look for something different in the Scottish culture to kind of keep me interested, keep me going to the festivals, and keep me into culture. And that's when I fell in love with Gaelic, learning Gaelic. Now I'm nowhere near fluent, but I love learning. I love learning new words. I love learning where the words come from and the different the idiomatic phrases that just don't seem to make sense, but it's part of everyday conversation in the Highlands and the islands of Scotland. And since majority of my ancestry comes from Skye and that area around there, I thought it was a perfect match for me. Now, another reason I do it is I want to bring a sense of culture and heritage to my children and my grandchildren, so that as they grow older, they know their history, they know the culture, they know the language, and they don't have to be fluent in it. They don't have to be, native Scotland, but they need to know where they came from. They need to know where their ancestry comes from, and that's what motivates me. I love it, and the first time my granddaughter spoke a Gaelic word, I about jumped for joy.
Absolutely. That's incredible. I admire you so much for doing that. It's like, in my experience, quite rare actually to meet someone that's not only learning Gaelic but also communicating Gaelic to others, teaching it, and has such a passion for it as you do. And I suppose I never expected to come to St. Louis in Missouri and meet someone like yourself that's so passionate about Gaelic and Scottish culture, and it really is fantastic. We're here at St. Anne's Church this afternoon. There's going to be a concert and community event celebrating St. Patrick's Day, but as Jeffrey's saying, the Scots invasion of St. Patrick's Day, so a kind of multi-layered Celtic celebration. Can you tell me a wee bit about the community response to events like today, and also to the Gaelic podcast as well, please, Jeffrey?
Sure. The Celtic podcast I do on YouTube, I send it out to multiple pages all through Facebook and online, and I get, so far I've gotten, a few hundred subscribers to it, and the majority of that is here in America, which really shocked me. Even though I get a lot of likes from people in Scotland and England and even Ireland on the videos, because I also do a video called Learn a Gaelic Song. And I put the song on, and I put the Gaelic at the top and the English at the bottom so that you can follow along and actually know what you're trying to sing. And those seem to be very popular right now. But the majority of my subscribers, the people who are really getting into learning and listening to it, are people here in America who want to make that connection back to their roots, to their ancestry. And that's what really shocked me. And it made me proud, too, because I know that there's a huge Scottish-American community here in America. And, they may not be overly active sometimes, but they're there.
Absolutely. And it's amazing the awareness that you're raising for Gaelic as a language, and also Scotland itself through your podcast. Do you think the awareness is increasing through communities in St. Louis and wider America for Scotland and Scottish culture?
Well, most definitely. Here in St. Louis, it's just kind of burgeoning. It's just beginning to grow. But in places like where I came from in Texas, it's huge. I mean, you could find 2 or 3 places in Dallas, Fort Worth, that have weekly Scottish Gaelic classes. And you can't even find one here. But there's other places in America where it's just so prevalent that you will see men walking down the street in kilts.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of shocking. It's not shocking that the man's in a kilt. It's shocking that it's the culture is so prevalent that they want to promote that.
Absolutely. I think a lot of friends back home in Scotland would be really surprised with the level of passion in the States for Scottish culture, as well as the Scottish American heritage, the shared heritage. Like, we really would be quite blown away by it, and I think I really am keen to raise awareness further of, you know, people like yourself that really are doing such admirable things in celebrating Scottish culture, because I think you deserve a lot of recognition for that, because it is, you know, it's not typical, but it's fantastic. Oh my goodness, do you have a podcast? Sorry, not a podcast. Do you have Gaelic classes coming up that people could perhaps attend?
Yeah, actually, there's this Facebook page, St. Louis Gaelic Facebook page. You can go on there, and the woman who runs it's name's Tracy Kennebreck, I believe her name is. She's beginning to formulate something. We're going to probably either do on Skype or online, and I would like actually to do one here at this church. The church has actually given me permission to have a class here if I wanted to. So they're all behind, you know, trying to get people in, get them, you know, learn their culture. And of course, if we can get them saved and, you know, get them into church, that's even better too. So, but, you know, that's, the Scottish here in St. Louis, because like I said, the Irish part of St. Louis is so huge. You know, with the Irish parades, and we have even this part of town called Dogtown, which is an Irish part of town, and it kind of takes over. But you know, you gotta, if you want it, you can find it.
Absolutely. I think for me, growing up in Scotland, I'd heard a lot about obviously St. Patrick's Day parades taking place through the States, and it wasn't until, you know, kind of 7-8 years ago that I became of the Tartan Week parade in New York City. Whereas I'd always been away to the St. Patrick's parade through movies. As much as anything, you know, I've seen a lot of movies where you get the St. Patrick's Day, St. Pat's, St. Paddy's, but it's almost like the kind of the celebration of Scottish culture is maybe less promoted itself, or has been, out with the immediate Scottish community. Whereas I've met a lot of people in America that you know, have a kind of affiliation with the Irish and Irish culture. It seems to be less frequent, you know, that I'm meeting people with an affiliation to Scotland, but I think thanks to people like yourself, people will maybe be more aware of their own connections to Scotland, or even just their affection towards it. But I think your event sounds great. We're doing, you know, Gaelic classes here. I think that would be superb. You'd mentioned doing a Celtic festival next year at some point.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a wee bit more about that, please?
And that's kind of why I brought you here today, is I want to let people understand how great Celtic music and especially Gaelic music is. You know, the folk music that made Ireland and Scotland is so beautiful and so rich and so just incredible that I want to create a music festival, a yearly music festival that you don't have to be at these like Irish festivals, Scottish festivals. There's lots of drinking and debauchery and things going on. You can have it in the church where you can just enjoy the music, you can enjoy the fellowship, and just have a good, wholesome time. You know, like you would if you were sitting in your house and you picked up the guitar and you started playing for your granny or your aunts and uncles, and just have a nice little family dinner. That's kind of what we're wanting to do here. But we also bring the love of Gaelic music and Celtic music to the people.
I love that. I think that's a great idea, and to pick up on the part about, you know, the debauchery, for instance, you know, I mean, people often like to have a wee drink, a couple of beers at Scottish and Irish festivals. Absolutely. Although, you know, I think as a Scot, although we definitely do drink alcohol in Scotland, I think I've been at events before where it's almost seemed like, you know, alcohol was in a sense synonymous with being Scottish or Irish,
right.
And that's one thing it's not disappointed me, but it's probably made me a wee bit kind of sad, in the sense of, like, is that part of what we're known for, you know, because there's so much more. But I certainly like the idea where the focus is all on the arts, all on the music. So that sounds pretty healthy. It sounds cool.
Yeah, I trust me. I like a wee dram of scotch myself. As a matter of fact, that's usually what I get for Christmas every year is a couple bottles of good scotch. But like I said, my whole thing is to put the focus on the music and not the partying and the revelry, because it's so beautiful if you just spend a moment and listen to it and understand what's going on, what's being said. It's just incredible.
I couldn't agree with that more. That's absolutely fantastic. Thanks very much for speaking to me today, Jeffrey, and it's a pleasure to be here at St Anne's in St Louis, and I'm definitely going to be sharing a link to the podcast with listeners, and it's an absolute pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much, Jeffrey McDonald.
All right. Top of love. Cheery and Drozda.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jeffrey. Bye. This first song I'm going to do, it's a Robert Burns song called Green Grow the Ashes. It's one of Burns' more notable songs about love. Green grow the ashes, oh, green grow the ashes, oh, sweetest hours I ever spent among the lassies, oh, there's not but care on every hand, and every year that passes, oh, it signifies the life of man. 24 the lassies, oh, green grow the ashes, oh, green grow the ashes, oh, the sweetest hours I ever spent among the lassies, oh. Good afternoon. Worldly race me riches chase, and riches still may fly them all. And though at last they catch them fast, their hearts can ne'er enjoy them all. Green grow the ashes, oh, green grow the ashes, oh, the sweetest hours that e'er I spent among the lassies, oh. Among the lassies, oh, all nature swears her lovely dears, her noblest work she classes, oh. Apprentice hand she tried on man, and then she made the lassies, oh. Green grow the ashes, oh, green grow the ashes, oh, the sweetest hours that e'er I spent among the lassies, oh. And 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 I spent among the lassies, oh. Green grow the ashes, oh. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, that was Green Grow the Ashes by Jamie McGeechan. Well, that's it for today's show. Hope you liked it. I'm trying to keep it interesting, informative, fun, as always. For me, anytime you can infuse something Gaelic or Celtic into your day, it's a great day. Now, I'd like to thank everyone for all the support and kind words and the likes and the subscribers. Top 11. Now, before I go, the trivia question. Answer. Who is the female character in the Brown Bull of Cooley, the great Irish saga? That is Queen Maeve. All right. Now remember to check out Duolingo.com, LearnGaelic.net, and of course my YouTube channel, Olde Scot. And we've got our Learn a Gaelic song videos and our Celtic podcasts and so on. And also while you're on there, check out Jamie McGeechan, aka Little Fire. Great Scottish singer, and I've got some of his songs from a little wee concert he did the other day, and check him out. You'll like him. All right, Marshall Leavendrosda, bye for now. But before I go, I'll leave you with a song, and it's High Hope by, of course, Jamie McGeechan from his album entitled High Hopes. Enjoy.
This next song I'm going to do is called High Hopes. High Hopes. High hopes for the future, high hopes for the present, high hopes for us all. It's from my album called High Hopes. And I'll dedicate this to people all over the world who are experiencing an unprecedented situation for the modern times. And just sending our love out to everybody. This is High Hopes. Make my way on back to where I can feel myself home with you. Make my way down city streets, and the people that I meet ask me why. She got style and she got grace, it's all written on her face. Makes me believe in my high hopes, high hopes, high hopes, high hopes. Make my way on back to where I can feel myself with you. Make my way down hidden lanes, and my feelings on the flames ask me why. She got style and she got grace, it's all written on her face. Makes me believe in my high hopes, high hopes, high hopes, high hopes. I've got my high hopes, I've got my high hopes. All I need is a little love. All I need is a little love. All I need is a little love. High hopes, high, oh high hopes, high, oh high hopes, high, oh high hopes for you, high, oh high hopes for me, high, oh high hopes for them, high, oh high hopes for us, high, 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 high hopes. Thank you.